Hi everybody, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name's Paul Reed and I'm a professional photographer. So this video is going to be very straightforward. I'll keep it as quick as possible. What I want to show you today is my post-processing, how I edit my photography to look the way it does. Just about every single video that I put out there, I get some comments saying, will I do a video on my post-processing? The only reason why I haven't is because my post-processing is so simple and I'm almost embarrassed how simple it is that I never really put it out there. But I'm going to show you today anyway. Firstly, what I want to say is that I edit slightly different depending what the final output is going to be. So if my images are going to be just seen digitally, so that's on monitors, phones, laptops, screens, anything like that, then I edit that slightly different than if the final output was going to be print. If I'm doing a platinum palladium print, I have to edit in a specific kind of way. If it's going to be silver gelatin print, again slightly different. And then whenever I did my book, my monochrome portrait and my monochrome moments book, I had to edit slightly different for this book because things just look different depending on who's printed your work, and they might not necessarily know exactly how you want your photographs to look on print. So normally what it is it's usually slightly darker on print than it is if somebody's looking at it on a screen, and that's because screens, they're all backlit, so there's already that light there. But when something is on print, then it isn't, it is what it is, so it's got to be the right brightness. By the way, if you haven't pre-ordered this monochrome moments book, then please go ahead to the link in the description and pre-order that. It's just £30 and it's a nice thick book of all my best street photography. I really appreciate that. Now I'm going to show you my editing. So it might surprise you that most of my editing is actually done on a smartphone. And the reason why I do that is because I just don't want to be wasting time sat in front of a computer. I want to do all my editing on the fly. I want to do it on a train, on a bus, or sitting here while the telly's on or some music's on. And then if I need to do any other tweaks or anything, maybe for printing or anything like that, then I can carry that edit on the computer. But my main edit is done on a smartphone. So let's start with our first portrait. So as you can see from this, it's starting off pretty dark and also very flat. Now the Q2 monochrome files all do start off very flat. I've underexposed this slightly, really just because I wanted to save the highlights in the background there. Why I did that, I've no idea, because I'm not even bothered about those highlights. But if you want to save highlights, then sometimes you need to underexpose a bit. So let's get this started, and we're going to put the exposure up and we're going to put the contrast up as well until we feel as if maybe that's about right. Then I'm going to put the blacks down a bit and I'm going to put the whites up a little bit as well. So the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the effects tools, and the effects tools, these texture, clarity and dehaze tools, they all do contrast in various different ways. Now the clarity is not sharpening. It might give perceived sharpness due to the contrast, but it isn't a sharpening tool. So you're not going to over sharpen things. It's just going to be very, very contrasty if you put that clarity up too much. But we're going to put that clarity up because it definitely needs a lot of contrast, these files. And I'm going to put that texture up as well. So even then, just like that, it's looking way better. The next thing that I'm going to do is, because the eyes are the most important thing to every portrait of mine, I'm going to add a mask. I'm just going to use a brush that's got a very heavy feather on it. I'm just going to go over those eyes just like that, and then I'm just going to bring that brightness up. You might wonder why I don't use the AI masks for this, because a lot of times they get it wrong and I just prefer just to do it myself. So that's the eyes done. I haven't gone too far with those. I just want them a bit whiter than the other parts of the face. The next part, because of the subject, I want to bring some texture out in the face. So I'm just going to put that brush over the face and over the neck just like that. and then I'm just going to bring that clarity up a bit more, and I'm going to bring the texture up a little bit more, and then that's just making his face pop. So that's great. Now that background, it might be slightly distracting with it being so white, so I'm going to put a brush just over that background there, just like that, and then I'm going to just bring the highlights down. It doesn't matter that I went over the hat and everything, because I'm bringing highlights down. I'm not affecting the blacks there at all. So all I'm doing is just making it just a little bit more, well, a little bit less distracting. So then I'm just going to have a look, and this is my final image now, so I'm just kind of tweaking the brightness and contrast, really just to kind of get it to the look that I want. But I'm very happy with that. Let's look at the before, and then we'll look at the after, and I'm very happy with that. On to the next portrait. The next image that I'm going to do is the bear in the barn, just simply because it's one of the most well-known photographs of mine. I just wanted to show you the editing that goes into this. So again, it's underexposed, it's very flat. I need to get that contrast in this Q2 monochrome file. So I'm going to put that brightness up a little bit. I'm going to put the contrast up as well. I'm going to put the blacks down, and I'm going to put the whites up. Now, the next thing that I'm going to do again is I'm going to go into those eyes, and I'm going to create a mask. I'm going to put a brush over the right eye and the left eye, simply because I want to make those eyes pop, and that's looking better. Right, but then I'm not finished with those eyes, because those eyes are so stunning that I want to actually go over this bit here. I'm going to do the same on the other eye there, just like that. And then I'm just going to bring the brightness up of those eyes a bit. I'm going to put the contrast up a bit so it doesn't flatten the eyes out too much. So I want to go and I want to get this clarity added in. So let's put that clarity up, because it's just making those whites whiter and the blacks blacker. And then we're going to put the texture up a tad as well. So this is looking more like the picture that you would have seen. So I'm going to just quickly put a brush just over the face and over the hair, just like that. And then I'm just going to pop that clarity up a little bit more, and then just put the texture up as well. That's great. And then the last thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to put a brush over this white here again, because it might be just a little bit too distracting. And I'm just going to bring those highlights down a little bit. Like I say, it's more just to take it up so that it's not quite as harsh as that. The only other thing that if I wanted to, I could, you know, maybe bring a bit more detail out in these clothes here, just by doing that, and then maybe bringing those shadows up a little bit. If you wanted to say maybe you know, give a bit more of a vignette or something, then you could easily add your own vignette and just bring a linear gradient in on the left there, just bring that brightness down a tad on that side, and you could put another linear gradient on the right hand side there, and then just bring the brightness down a tad there, and then that might draw the eye even further to this portrait. But I'm happy with that edit. Here's the before, and there's the after, and as you can see, it doesn't take that long at all. We've run out of time, but if you want to see more of my editing techniques, I'm going to edit a whole bunch of portraits, some street photography, and a load of other stuff, then there's now a bonus module on the Monochrome Madness online course where you can just really study my editing. If you haven't signed up for the Monochrome Madness online course yet, then you can do so by, I'll put a link in the description to that, and you can sign up for that. The Monochrome Madness online course, I've had such great feedback for that, and really it's my whole thinking in photography, it's my approach, it's everything that you could possibly want to know on how I do things, and it's just such a great course to take you through with tasks for you to do and everything like that. So if you haven't signed up for the Monochrome Madness online course, then go ahead and do that, and you'll also get that bonus editing lesson as well. Thanks again for watching, everybody. I'll see you next time.